friends, Valerie here from Chase and Paper. So yesterday I stopped by at my favorite thrift shop and this is what I found. This is a vintage business card holder and let's face it, people hardly use this anymore. Very few people still do, which means you can always find these guys at the yard sales and thrift shops, and basically people are getting rid of them. But I got immediately attracted by its beautiful leather cover. I mean, look at this. Isn't it just gorgeous? I figured that I'm going to bring this home and give it a makeover. We are going to make a beautiful new travel notebook out of this little business card holder. So the first thing we are going to do is deconstruct this business card holder. So, and this one looks like it's going to be really easy because most of the things are just sort of tucked in. So I'm just gonna pull that out on both sides. And I bet you we can make something cool with these too. I'm definitely gonna use this in my other junk journals. So let's see, there are also these chipboard inserts. I'm going to remove them as well. And then there is this tag. Let's see if I can tear it out easily. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to give this a quick wipe with a baby wipe or a sanitizing wipe. Next thing we are going to do is we are going to put 4 holes in the spine. 2 here and 2 here. My first hole is going to be about 1/4 of an inch from the top and 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. That's my second hole. There. So what I'm going to do now is from my first mark, I'm going to measure about 3/4 of an inch down the spine this way, and I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch from this first mark this way towards the center again. Next, I'm bringing in my big guns, Crocodile Big Bite. You could probably get away here with just a regular Crocodile or whatever you use to punch holes. I'm going to punch the holes exactly where I marked. There. That's the first hole. Alright, great. So now that we have 4 holes on our spine, we are going to set eyelets. This is a completely optional step. If you don't want to set eyelets, you don't have to do it. But I like the look. I think it gives it a nice finished look. So I'm going to proceed and set my eyelets with my Crocodile Big Bite again. Here's my first one. And I'm just going to continue to set the remaining 3 eyelets. Right, so now that we finished setting all our eyelets on the spine, we are going to go ahead and make another hole right here. This is going to be for our closure. So my hole is approximately 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the journal. So now that my hole is ready, and again this hole is in the back of my cover, I'm going to get another eyelet and squeeze. There you go. The eyelet is now set. And this is what it looks like. So next we are going to make our classic traveler's notebook elastic cord spine. So I'm going to use this elastic cord. Any craft store sells it, Amazon sells it. This elastic cord is 1 millimeter thick. So they come in all different thickness. This is the one I am using because I just like it. It's just stretchy enough and it's not too bulky. And what we need is about 3 lengths of our cover. So measure it out without stretching. And honestly, 3 lengths is plenty, but you want to give yourself plenty of room to tie a knot. So 1, and a 2, and a 3. So here's how I found the easiest way to do it. For me anyway, this is what works. So you go on the inside, you take both ends of your cord and you put them in the, each end goes into the hole that's closest to the edge of the journal. See that? So this hole right here and this hole right here. All right, so we put the tails in. Now pull. See that? Now flip it over. Find your tails again. Here are my tails. And put this tail into this hole. The other tail goes into this hole. There. Pull. So now you got 2 loops, and that's all that's going to be visible on the outside of your traveler's notebook. All right, flip it over. Pull your tails on the inside. And tie a knot. Just make sure not to stretch it too much, but you know, you want some tension. You don't want it to be loose. So find just the right amount of tension here. But you know, without stretching the cord out too much, because we still have to put our booklet in. There. So now we are turning our attention to the closure. You can use the same cord, or I preferred using a thicker cord for this part. This is the same elastic cord, except it's 2 millimeters thick. You don't have to have 2 types of cord. Honestly, you could just get away with using the same cord. I just like a thicker cord for my closure. So I'm gonna make a little loop. It's going to be, you know, just I double it up, and it's going to be just a little wider than my booklet. And I'm gonna go from the outside. I'm gonna put both ends on the inside and pull to find my lengths, my desired lengths. So see how I looped it around the journal? That gives me an idea on how long my elastic needs to be. But I also have to keep in mind that it's going to get thicker as we add the booklet. But you know, that's a good starting point. So about here, I'm going to put my, I'm going to tie off my knot right here. There. Tying it off. And it's there. And you can snip your ends off to make them shorter. There. Right, so now that our cover is almost ready, I want to add something to the front, and I am going to add a book plate. So here I have a book plate, a metal book plate that I want to add to the front of our journal, just to make it look even nicer. And I printed out the word journal, just printed it out on my computer in the font that I like, on off-white paper. So I'm going to insert that into my book plate. Make sure that it holds with a little bit of glue. And what glue am I using, you might want to ask? It's the original Tacky Glue by Eileen. So Eileen's original Tacky Glue. Right, so this is an all-purpose glue. And so I'm adding just a little tiny bit to hold my paper in place. There. And now I'm going to add a little bit of this same glue to the metal book plate itself. Right here. If you're only using glue to hold it, make sure that you let it dry. I would probably use some clamps or put some weight on it and leave it alone for a while without doing anything to it until the glue dries, just to make sure it stays. I am actually going to use brads and make holes right here and add brads because I love a good challenge. It's not going to be super easy because of the pocket in the back, but we'll do it. So I'm going to use my small cotton mat, kind of going to place it inside of this pocket, and I'm going to make 2 holes now with my awl. Now I'm going to open my brads just a little bit so it's easier for me to work with them once I get them through. Might as well remove my cotton mat at this point, and I am going in. So I'm putting my left hand is inside the pocket. Let's start with this one first. All right, so I put the brad in, and I'm going to use my bone folder to help me open those little metal, metal legs of the brad. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Again, I'm putting my hand in. My brad goes in. All right, there goes my second brad. Right, so I'm doing the same thing. I am using my bone folder to help me close that brad in the pocket. There, and that's done. And now our book plate is firmly in place. Great. So the next step is to make our insert. So if you're familiar with traveler's notebooks, classic traveler's notebooks, the great thing about them is that you could place an insert right here, and it's not stitched or glued to the cover in any way, so you can exchange it for, with something else. Once you're done working in that insert, you can just remove it and put a new one in, or you can use 2 inserts at the time, maybe even 3 or 4. That's up to you, but we are just going to place 1 insert in this booklet. So here I have a collection of all different papers to be placed in our booklet, and I am going to use about 15 to 16 sheets of paper. 16 seems to be a good number because that's going to give me 64 pages front and back, which is also a size of a classic insert in a traveler's notebook, in the original traveler's notebook. So we're gonna go with 16 pages or so. I'm going to use 1 piece of paper and make a template for my size. So I'm going to fold it in half lengthwise like this, and see how it fits. Okay, so our longer band is attached to the two outer holes, and that's going to dictate how tall your pages will be in your journal. So I'm literally just putting it next to the holes here, and I am going to mark how tall my pages need to be. So go just a little bit shorter to make sure that you have a correct fit, and nothing getting caught on your rubber bands anywhere. So there is my mark, and that is how tall my pages will need to be. So I'm going to cut it there. So now I know how tall my pages need to be. Let's see how wide. The width seems to be good because it fits in the journal just fine. There. So yeah, so I don't think we need to adjust the width because we have a good fit already. Perfect. So now I'm going to use this one page as a template. I'm going to fold the rest of my pages in half, exactly the same way. And I am going to cut them to size using this page. So now we have all our pages folded in half and cut down to size. So they exactly as tall as they need to be to fit into our traveler's notebook as an insert. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to combine them, put them all together. Here we are. Now we have our 16 sheets of paper folded in half and cut down to size, and I placed them in the order that I liked. And so as you can see, the edges here, the ends are longer on the papers that are on the inside. Well, that's inevitable, always happens, because see this thickness right here, the papers that go towards the center, they're always going to stick out. So we're going to fix that. So first of all, let's even our booklet out. There. I'm going to use my utility knife now and my metal ruler. Make sure you're using a nice sharp knife and go slow. You might take a couple of tries to get all the papers. All right, all done. We have a good edge here. So now we are removing our clips and we are ready to bind this booklet. So the easiest way we're going to do it today is we're going to use staples. We're not going to mess with sewing. So this is a no sewing project today. So your first impulse might be to use your stapler. You might want to open it up and then, open up your booklet and then try to put the staples onto the back side, like right here on the band. Well, I guarantee you that you are going to miss that band, and then you're going to get frustrated trying to, aim it and figure out how to get that staple in. And so we are going to avoid that. We're not going to do it this way. Instead of doing that, we are just going to use the staples. So just take your staples, the same regular standard staples that you use to refill your stapler. And I'm going to take my utility knife and I'm going to separate a couple of staples here. All right, be careful, protect your eyes if possible. Just, you're working with sharp objects, so just work slowly and carefully and you shouldn't have any problems. And so what I'm going to do, this is going to be really easy, minimal measurements, if any. I'm going to put the first hole about maybe an inch from the top. Just like that. I'm going to hold my booklet together and I'm going to push my hole through so that I get my hole exactly on the bend. And I'm going to use this little staple that we just took from the bunch. Do you see it? I'm going to line it up, put it next to my hole right here. And then with my pencil, I'm going to mark how big that staple is. See that? So this way I can see where I'm going to put my second hole. There. And I'm putting my second hole in. And now I'm going to do the same thing for my other side. Right here. Again, putting my first hole about an inch from the edge. There's my hole. Using my staple to see where my second hole will go. And that's where it goes. Right there. Marked it with my pencil. And now I am making that second hole. And it's done. And so now I'm flipping this booklet over. And I am putting my first staple through these two holes. And these standard staples usually are fine with handling about 15 to 16 pages, you know, depending on the thickness of your paper. There, I got you a little closer so you can see better. Here are my ends. I'm going to use my bone folder to push them in nice and straight. This way. There, and that's much faster, much easier than sewing. If you prefer sewing, by all means you could do, for example, a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I've showed how to do it in one of my other videos. I'm going to link it below. Now I'm putting my second staple. There. Again, doing the same thing, using my bone folder to fold the ends of the staple into place, like that. And there you go. So now I'm going to use my bone folder to fold it once again, now that we stapled it. Flip it over and do it on both sides just to help it stay nice and flat. There. There's our booklet. Look at this, I even included a couple of book pages just to make it more interesting. And I'm opening my booklet in the center. And I am sliding it in. And there. Here's our booklet. Loads and loads of writing space. So now I just decided that I want to decorate this little tie somehow. We are going to place one of these metal labels on it. So I picked the tag that I want to put, this one, and I'm going to remove this little loop really quick. And so now that I removed this elastic band, I am going to thread it through this metal piece like this, so that it can be visible on the front when our journal is closed. Putting these two tails back in. Give it a nice little tug. Okay, good. Make sure it fits good. All right, and now I have to make a knot right here. So I'm tying a knot. There. And let's double check again if it's a good fit. And it is. It is a good fit. Perfect. Now I'm going to use this garment pin to add a little charm, just for extra decoration, right here. There. And now let's just add a handful of fun ephemera stickers and things like that to the pocket right here. And there we are. Our traveler's notebook is ready to use. And here we go, friends. I hope you like this little project. This is just another reminder that junk journaling supplies are everywhere. They're all around you. You don't have to buy something super expensive as a junk journaling supply, and you also don't have to start making your junk journal from scratch, okay? Because you get to recycle something old and used and make something new out of it. How fun is that? So I really hope you like this project. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you are not a subscriber yet, and go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know how you like this. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.